This is Hedda for the ReMARKable YouTube channel. I'm going to record my feedback or response to an interview that Rado Gatchalian had with James. I think I might butcher the name of the YouTube channel, so hindi ko na lang sasabihin. Anyway, I'm going to post this one there. So, I always listen to Rado's interviews, and this time, ang naiiba is that he's the one who is being interviewed. And I always read his articles. Okay, actually, it's Rado who has started me on Stoicism, and I'm thankful for that. At saka, he is also the one who has started me on writing poems. I can never, how do you say this, describe myself as a poet, because I can never be one. But nevertheless, okay, I do attempt sometimes, because it just feels like there are certain things that can be said in less words, but okay, will have a world of meaning, na would have a better kind of representation in a poem rather than in an essay. And so sometimes, okay, I attempt that. Ano yung mga what were my takeaways at the interview that Rado had, okay, when he was interviewed by James, okay? And by the way, congratulations to you both. Okay, it was a very well done interview, and kudos to James, okay, for your channel and for the projects, okay, that you have, especially in relation to the Stoics. So I'm not going to repeat, okay, the things that were already said, okay, in the interview between James and Rado. Content wise, it's really very profound and deep, and I hope that maraming makaka-relate, at saka maraming mga manunood, at saka many will learn, and not just learn superficially or rhetorically, pero that they will also start studying and living the Stoic life. So my takeaway, because my advocacy is about women empowerment, and I'm going to take this around, so as kumbaga yung mga learnings that I got, okay, from there, I would like to talk about it in terms of ano yung context ng mga sinabi ni Rado, in terms of paano yun kumbaga isasalin sa buhay ng mga babae, especially Filipino women. So one of the first important things that Rado mentioned was about self-examination. So I feel na ang mga Pilipino na babae, mga Pilipina, would probably have more benefit kung mag-invest tayo ng more time and energy into self-examination. Ang reason for that is because I don't know if you will agree with me, but Filipino society and Filipino culture is very patriarchal. And with that being said, may mga positive and negative things about that, but more so negative, especially when you put it in the context of today's modern times. Kasi pag nanggagaling tayo sa patriarchal society, there's always this thought and notion that the women would always have to follow the men. Of course, okay, it's not always like that in every family, but okay, kumbaga merong ganong notion. So parang embedded na yan sa society, and it's our roots are about that and are drawn from that. And so merong impact po yon sa mga babae, in the sense na pag nag-self-examine tayo, we would have, or we would be forced to look at ano ba yung talaga yung gusto natin sa buhay. Who are we in the context of who we really are, not in relation to how the men in our lives perceive us or would like us to be, our fathers, our older brothers, our husbands, our boyfriends, okay, or even our friends. Kasi there's this notion din, diba, sa atin, sa Pilipino, that women have to be yung parang Maria Clara version. Meron pa rin pong ganyan. I'm not sure if you would agree with me, but okay, in the way that I see things, okay, it's still happening. So in regards to that, sometimes and I have always been talking and writing about self-agency. So nandun yung context now when women examine themselves, ano po ba yung gusto natin sa buhay, what are our dreams for ourselves, and not just okay as dictated by our families or our parents or our significant others. So importante po yon. And then the next big thing that I would like to talk about is yung hypersensitivity. Di ba na-mention nga ni Rado na we are a resilient people. We have a lot of grit. Pero the other side of that, which is okay ironic, is masyado rin tayong hypersensitive. And just talking to my sister recently, who is taking a master's degree in tawag dito, social work. We were talking about the traumas of childhood, and comes with it are the traumas of our culture. So, kumbaga, saan nanggagaling yung hypersensitivity? Why is it that women, okay, because I would like to focus on women, why is it that Filipino women are hypersensitive? It's not just because we have to put okay yung hypersensitivity in the context na hindi lang yan, kumbaga, it's not because women are just so fond of drama. I think a lot of us fail to recognize and acknowledge that marami po tayong childhood, cultural, societal traumas when we are being raised in our society, in our families, in our culture, that impacts who we become as adults. Kaya minsan, pag meron tayong pag pinagsasabihan tayo, then we become hyper-reactive or hypersensitive. It's not just because na defensive tayo, okay? And Rado would know this, okay? Kasi meron akong personal experience about this, and I have, okay, to be honest about that. Otherwise, okay, I wouldn't have any kind of credibility to talk about this. So, kumbaga, yung traumas that we have had, okay, as we were raised or as we go through life, nag-i-impact yan sa atin as we grow older. And sometimes dahil maraming pinagdadaanan ang Pilipino, because there's just so many struggles, and not just financially, okay, it's actually more of the emotional struggles, the self-esteem struggles, the sense of worth, okay, the finding out about who the self is, at saka yung parang this kumbaga yung parang the push and pull between what we want and what other people wish or want for us to do. Yun ang mga struggles that impact or have some kind of effect on the Filipina. Kaya tuloy nagiging hypersensitive. And so, how does this relate? Okay, all these relate to being a Stoic or to study Stoicism as what Rado is trying to say and to promote. So, kung if we are able to examine ourselves more, then and we find the things that, kumbaga, yung mga triggers. What are the things that trigger us into being hypersensitive at saka yung hyperreaction? So if we know and we find out what those are, then it's easier for us to correct them if we wish to get better, to grow, and also to have self-control, dahil that is also the mark of Stoicism. And the last thing that I would like to do to say is yung sinabi ni Rado and mentioned ni James, that how we react or how we connect with people, our relationships with others, is also a main point in the life of a Stoic. So, kumbaga, how do we connect with others, and do we have? But I think for women most especially, this has really such a big relevance, especially in modern times. Kasi nga, itong mga dating, di ba? Online dating apps, and questions about relationships, whether, you know, how do you find your significant other? Dahil significant, or it's important for the Filipina to be married, to have a family. We're always geared towards that, while some other cultures are not necessarily, especially in this day and time. And so, ano yung what is Stoic regarding connections and relationships? So it's about the quality and the value of our relationships, okay, with others. But okay, before, ang Pilipina especially, before we can go and nurture connections and relationships with others that are going to be of high value or high quality, we go back, okay, again to self-examination and the sense of self-control and knowing ourselves more. Kasi then we would have probably a better chance of finding relationships that are more satisfying at saka hindi dysfunctional. Kasi if we really come to think about it, okay, there are so many problems with relationships, especially in the Philippines, and it's always women who are at the losing end. Kumbaga, we always get, okay, the shorter end of the stick, because we are the ones, okay, who are settled with children, at saka yung mga iniiwan na lang basta ng mga significant others, di ba? So, okay, those are my take about the interview. And again, congratulations to Rado and James for a very well done interview. Very profound, very deep, well detailed, and very pragmatic. So, ano po yung tatlo that I talked about? So, for women, I think women empowerment would have a better chance if we become stoic and study Stoicism, as Rado mentions. We need to self-examine ourselves, okay? So look at what triggers us in terms of hyperreactivity, hypersensitivity, and what can we do about it. At saka yung pangatlo is that, okay, before we go and nurture connections and relationships with other people, we also have to go back to knowing ourselves more. Kasi hindi rin magiging satisfying if, okay, we have so many things that we also have to work in ourselves. Okay, so that's all. Pasensya na. I'm in the car kasi this is the only place, okay, where I can do this quietly. Bye.